Hello everyone. So in this session we will start open channel flow. Okay, so it is basically a chapter which is based on concepts of fluid mechanics. Okay, so we will see how this open channel flow is important for civil engineering. Okay, so this open channel flow, in short term it is abbreviated as OCF. Okay, so this OCF is actually important for civil engineers. How it is important for civil engineers, let's see. Okay, so what is basically an open channel flow? Open channel flow is that kind of flow in which the water flows, okay, and its top surface is exposed to the atmosphere. Okay, so let us suppose that we have this channel. Okay, we have this channel, and this channel, the water is flowing over here. Okay, so the top surface of the water, it is exposed to atmosphere. Okay, hence it is open to the atmosphere, hence it is abbreviated as open channel flow. Okay, but in case where we have studied in fluid mechanics, the flow was actually not open to the surface. Suppose it was a pipe and the flow was actually constant within the pipe, so the top surface of the water was not exposed to atmosphere. Okay, it was touching the surface of the pipe, whatever material the pipe has been constructed. Okay, so this cannot be termed as an open channel flow, it is termed as a pipe flow. Okay, this is called pipe flow. So what is the basic difference between a pipe flow and an open channel flow? Okay, so I guess the basic concepts of what is open channel flow is clear. Okay, suppose if we have a circular channel, okay, and water is flowing in this circular channel with touching the surface of the pipes, then this cannot be termed as an open channel flow. Okay, but if we have a same pipe and the water is flowing through this pipe, not fully, actually half. Okay, half of the cross section of the water is flowing. Okay, so if we look closely, then this top surface of the water, this top surface of the water is not touching the surface of the pipe. Okay, so here some air will be present, so this is actually technically exposed to air, okay, or atmosphere, hence this flow is open channel flow. Okay, it can be categorized in open channel flow because its top surface is exposed to free atmosphere. Okay, so I hope the basic difference is clear between pipe flow and open channel flow. Now we will point out some of the basic points in which the pipe flow and an open channel flow can be differentiated. Okay, so the first point is the flow in pipe is due to difference in pressure. Okay, suppose we have a pipe, if a pressure difference is created between this point and this point, then the flow is possible. Okay, if there is no pressure difference, then there won't be any flow. Okay, the fluid will be static condition. Okay, but in open channel flow, the flow is due to gravity. Oh, okay, open channel flow, a basic example of an open channel flow is river or a dam or canal. Okay, who is open to the surface. Okay, so in that river and canals or dams, okay, the flow is due to the gravity, okay, under atmospheric condition. Okay, so this was the first difference. The second point is this is actually second point. The second point is actually the slope the shape of the pipe is round. It is actually a general concept. Okay, generally the shape of the pipe chosen is round. Okay, but in case of open channel flow, the shape can be square, it can be trapezoidal, it can be triangular, it can be circular. Okay, so it is not necessary that the shape of the pipe in open channel is round. Okay, it can take any of the shapes, but we generally prefer trapezoidal section in open channel flow. Why? We will see later. Okay, why trapezoidal section is preferred. The third point between pipe flow and open channel flow, third point is actually velocity distribution. Velocity distribution in pipe flow is parabolic. Okay, here is a pipe, the water is flowing through this surface, then the water is touching these two surfaces, so there will be the velocity equal to negligible. Okay, and as the water progresses towards this direction, the velocity increases and again it decreases. So this shape is parabolic in nature. So the velocity distribution in pipe flow is considered to be parabolic. Okay, but in case of open channel flow, the velocity distribution is logarithmic. Velocity distribution is logarithmic. It varies according to log of the flow, because suppose this is the bed of the flow and this water is open to the atmosphere. Is open to the atmosphere. Okay, so there the particle of the water which is touching the bed slope is actually at rest, considered to be at rest, and as it progresses towards this direction, the velocity is increased. Okay, so this actually follows a logarithmic scale, but in case we will see in detail later that the velocity increases logarithmically and it finally decreases at the surface. Okay, so why this happens we will see it later, but just for now we will consider only that the distribution is parabolic in case of pipe flow and it is logarithmic in case of open channel flow. Okay, the next difference, point number 4, is the hydraulic gradient line. Okay, HGL, hydraulic gradient line, lies above the top surface of water in case of pipe flow. Okay, but in case of open channel flow, the hydraulic gradient line coincides or it may be told that hydraulic gradient line lies at the water surface. Okay, the next difference is point number 5. This is the last difference. The flow in pipe is due to viscosity, so viscous force is dominant in case of pipe flow. Okay, so here we are using viscous force, so we use Reynolds number. Okay, this Re is actually Reynolds number. Okay, but in case of open channel flow, gravity is dominant. Okay, gravitational force is dominant. Okay, hence in case of OCF we use Froude's number. Okay, it is denoted by Fr. Okay, we use Froude's number. What is Froude's number we will discuss later. Okay, so this was the basic difference between pipe flow and an open channel flow. Okay, so let's move forward. Okay, so let's now discuss about type of channels. Okay, types of channels. So channels may be natural or may be artificial. Channels are basically the pathways through which the flow is possible, or the fluid or maybe water, we can say here in this case water flows through, it is called channels. Okay, and natural, artificial, the second point, it may be classified as rigid boundary channels or mobile boundary channels. Okay, in third case it can also be classified as prismatic channels or non-prismatic channels. So we will see it one by one. So what are natural channels and what are artificial channels? Okay, natural channels are self-originated channels. Okay, natural channels are self-originated. Okay, for example rivers or tributaries, these can be classified as natural channels, and artificial channels are constructed or created by man, or these are also called man-made channels. Okay, so this is the basic difference between natural channels and artificial channels. Example of artificial channels are canals, dams, sewer lines. Okay, these are example of artificial channels. Okay, the second criteria was actually rigid boundary or mobile boundary. Okay, so what is rigid boundary? Rigid boundary channels are, suppose this is a channel through which water is flowing along this direction. Suppose this channel is constructed by a material of concrete or cement, then over the time of several years this boundary do not degrade. Okay, they do not deform, and hence the dimension of this channel remains constant. Okay, so there is no any kind of change in dimension, or there is no any kind of change or movement in the boundary of the channel. Okay, so this type of channels is called rigid boundary channels. Okay, so rigid boundary channels. Okay, and for example drains, dams, which are constructed, whose boundaries are constructed using rigid material so that the boundaries cannot get deformed, so these are called rigid boundary channels. Okay, what are mobile boundary channels? Mobile boundary channels are those channels in which the boundaries of the channels degrade over time and hence the dimension increases. Suppose a liquid is flowing through water, actually we will consider water only. Water is flowing along this direction, then it slowly and steadily over the time degrades the boundary of this channel, and hence the dimension of the boundary shifts towards these directions. Okay, and hence the dimension increase for over the time of the year. So hence the dimension of this channel is actually not constant, and it is dynamically moving. Okay, so this is called mobile boundary channels. Okay, because it is always dynamically moving. Okay, so actually all natural channels are mobile boundary channels because they are made by soil or any type of earthworks, and they get eroded over time, and hence the dimension always increases. So all natural channels are mobile boundary channels, and all man-made channels or all artificial channels are rigid boundary channels. Okay, so this was the second criteria of us, rigid boundary and mobile boundary channels. Okay, the third criteria was actually prismatic and non-prismatic channels. Prismatic and non-prismatic channels. So what is prismatic channel actually? Prismatic channels are those whose cross section area or shape and bed slope do not change. Okay, do not change along the length of the channel. Okay, then this type of channel is called prismatic channels. What is actually that means? Okay, let's suppose an example of a rectangular channel. Okay, this is a rectangular channel, water is flowing in this direction. Okay, suppose we cut this section from over here, then the cross section that is obtained over here is also a rectangle. Okay, in a similar fashion that was present over here. So this cross section does not change and the shape of the channel does not change. So this is actually a prismatic channel. Okay, and the channel whose cross section changes along the length is called non-prismatic channel. Okay, so here also natural channels are non-prismatic and artificial channels are prismatic. Okay, so this term is actually very important for us. Okay, so you need to remember this type of terms. Okay, prismatic and non-prismatic. Okay, so let's proceed towards next topic. Next topic will be types of flow. These types of flow you have already studied in fluid mechanics, but let's revise one more time. Flow can be classified as a steady flow or unsteady flow. It can also be classified as a uniform flow or non-uniform flow. Okay, it is also classified as laminar flow or turbulent flow. Okay, so these three types of criteria of classification you have already studied in fluid mechanics. Oops. Okay, In open channel flow we will study a fourth kind of criteria, which is critical flow, subcritical flow, and supercritical flow. Okay, so let's deal all one by one. Okay, so first criteria was actually steady flow and unsteady flow. So what is a steady flow? Actually, steady flow is if all the flow parameters remains constant. Flow parameters are constant with respect to time. Okay, here the flow is constant with respect to time. Okay, then the flow is called steady flow, otherwise it is unsteady flow. Okay, so this is the definition of steady flow. The flow parameters, which is discharge, bed slope, and everything with respect to time, is constant. Okay, the second criteria was actually uniform flow and non-uniform flow. Here all the flow parameters are constant with respect to space, or it can be said along the length of the channel. Okay, then it is a uniform flow. Okay, let's understand this. If we have an infinite length of the channel, so it is impossible for us to confine the length of the channel. So let's assume we have this kind of section. Okay, section 1 and section 2. So whatever fluid that comes in this range, they have similar pattern of flow. Okay, so we are confining the flow in this length only, this length or this space only. Okay, so if the flow parameters are constant along this length, then this is a uniform flow. Okay, otherwise it is a non-uniform flow. And if there is same channel and for over the time, suppose we assume this section, then the flow is constant over the time, means the flow does not change with respect to time, then this flow is steady flow. Okay, I hope this steady flow and uniform flow is clear to you. The third criteria we used to define is laminar flow and turbulent flow. Laminar flow, turbulent flow. You have already studied what is laminar flow. Laminar flow is actually the flow in which the particles follow each other in a steady manner. Okay, the flow is actually this particle, the particle of water follows the particle which is adjacent to it. Okay, this particle always follows this particle. Okay, so this type of flow is laminar flow. If the flow is actually in a haphazard manner, suppose we have this channel, okay, and the flow is always in a haphazard manner in non-uniform directions, then it is called turbulent flow. Okay, this is turbulent flow. And the flow which lies between laminar flow and the turbulent flow is actually called as a, which lies in between, it is termed as transient flow. Okay, So we define laminar flow, turbulent flow and transient flow on the basis of Reynolds number. Okay, so in case of pipe flow, if you remember in fluid mechanics, if the Reynolds number is less than 2000, then the flow is laminar flow. Okay, if the Reynolds number lies between 2000 and 4000, then the flow is transient flow, and if Reynolds number is greater than 4000, then the flow will be turbulent flow. Okay, this was the case for pipe flow. Okay, if we consider open channel flow, then the criteria changes by some values. Okay, so in case of open channel flow, if the Reynolds number is less than 500, okay, then it is termed as laminar flow. If the range is between 500 to 2000, then it is transient flow, and if Reynolds number greater than 2000, then it will be termed as turbulent flow. Okay, so I hope it is clear the difference between the open channel flow and pipe flow on the basis of Reynolds number. Okay, so I hope it is clear. So let's move to our next criteria. Next criteria we defined was critical, subcritical and supercritical flow. What is critical flow, what is subcritical flow, and what is supercritical flow? Here we define according to the Froude's number. Okay, FR. What is Froude number actually? Froude number is defined as a formula which is equal to V square by G into D, where V is the velocity of the flow, G is the acceleration due to gravity, and D is the hydraulic mean depth. Okay, so on the basis of this velocity, this hydraulic mean depth, and this acceleration due to gravity, there can be different values of Froude number. Okay, so the Froude numbers may be equal to 1, it may be less than 1, or it may be Froude number may be equal to 1, Froude number may be less than 1, or Froude number may be greater than 1. So if the Froude number comes out to be equal to 1, then the flow is, this will be a case of open channel flow. Okay, it is only defined for open channel flow, it is not defined for pipe flow. Okay, because Froude number is only used when the gravity is involved, the gravitational force is involved, and gravitational force is involved only in open channel flow. Okay, in pipe flow the gravitational force is not involved. Okay, so we will use Froude numbers only for open channel flow. So if the Froude number comes out to be 1, then it is termed as critical flow. If Froude number is less than 1, then it is subcritical flow, and if Froude number comes out to be greater than 1, then it is supercritical flow. Okay, so I hope it is clear for everyone. Okay, if the Froude number comes out to be equal to 1, for what is the formula of Froude number? Formula is equal to V square by GD over root. Okay, if this values comes out to be equal to 1, that is critical flow. If it is less than 1, it is subcritical flow, and if it is greater than 1, then it is supercritical flow. Okay, so this was the there are few terms to be used in open channel flow. Okay, so let's get acquainted with those terms. Okay, the term is depth of flow. Okay, so what is depth of flow? Depth of flow is actually the vertical distance from channel bed to water surface. Okay, so this is called depth of the flow. The second term which is used is actually top width. Okay, top width is actually the width of the top surface of the water. Suppose we have a rectangular channel, then the top width will be equal to the base. This is the top width, it is equal to the base of the channel. Okay, suppose we have trapezoidal section, this, then the top width will be this one, will be the top width. If we have a circular channel, then top width can vary. Okay, this may be the top width, this may be the top width. So okay, so I hope this is clear what is top width of the channel. The third term we use is actually wetted area. Wetted area is the area which is acquired with water only. Okay, suppose this is rectangular channel and this is the water surface, then this much area is acquired by water. This much area of the channel is acquired by the water. So this is actually, suppose it is y depth and it is b width of the channel, then wetted area will be b into y. Okay, this will be the area. Suppose this is a trapezoidal section and this is the top water surface, then this area will be the wetted area. Okay, if depth changes, depth shifts from here to here, then this area will be the wetted area. Okay, so I hope it is clear. Wetted area is denoted by A. Okay, the fourth term is wetted perimeter. Okay, so it is the, suppose we have same channel rectangular and the top surface lies over here, this depth is y, so then this perimeter, the length of the channel which is covered by the water. Okay, so this top surface is open to atmosphere, so we don't need to add this one. Okay, we will not add this one, we will only add this y, this b and this y. So the wetted perimeter will be only b plus y or b plus 2y. Okay, this will be the wetted perimeter of the channel. Okay, similarly if there will be a trapezoidal channel, okay, suppose this is the trapezoidal channel and the water surface lies over here, then this length plus this length plus this length will be the wetted perimeter. Okay, the fifth term we use will be hydraulic radius. It is sometimes also called hydraulic mean depth, noted by R. So R will be wetted area by wetted perimeter. This term is actually very important in open channel flow. We will deal with every section, then this term is very useful in comparing different type of sections, whether they are economical or not. We will use hydraulic radius. Okay, so remember this term, this is wetted area by wetted perimeter. Okay, the sixth term will be using hydraulic depth, D. What is hydraulic depth? Hydraulic depth is wetted area by top surface of the water. Okay, wetted area by top width or top surface of the water. Okay, we will be using this term while dealing with subsequent chapters that are coming or in the next classes. Okay, so the next topic is velocity distribution in open channel flow. In case of pipe flow, we have seen that the velocity was distributed in parabolic manner. Okay, suppose this was pipe, water was flowing with touching the surface of the pipes. then the at this point the velocity of the velocity used to be 0. Here it can be considered as 0, and as it progresses towards the center point of the flow, the velocity increases and then it also again decreases. Okay, so this pattern is actually a parabolic pattern. Okay, so the velocity distribution in case of pipe flow was parabolic. Okay, but in case of open channel flow, this is not parabolic. Okay, sorry, it is rather logarithmic. Okay, suppose this is the free bed and this is the free surface of the water. Okay, then at this point this is the bed surface, so the velocity can be considered as negligible over here, and as we move towards this direction the velocity slowly increases. Okay, so this is actually a pattern like this, but whenever we reach the surface of the water over here, the velocity slightly decreases. Okay, this happens due to the free surface of the water and the currents that are present over the surface of the water. Okay, so this is actually a logarithmic distribution. Okay, so in this case okay, this is the distribution, this is the free surface of the water. So this is the maximum velocity that is obtained over here. This is the depth and this is the velocity. So this is the maximum point of the velocity and this is actually 0.6 times of depth, 0.6 of y naught. So as we can see that velocity is not uniformly distributed in open channel flow, so we will use the term average velocity. Okay, average velocity will be used while calculating or analyzing this open channel flow. So what is this average velocity? Average velocity is equal to velocity at 0.6 y, means the velocity that will be obtained at 0.6 times of depth, then this velocity will be considered as the average velocity in that open channel flow. Okay, but this will be only applicable for, let's create some space over here, this will only be applicable for shallow rivers. Okay, for deep rivers the average velocity will be equal to velocity at 0.2 y plus velocity at 0.8 y upon 2. Okay, so we see that average velocity equal to velocity at 0.6 y naught and it is equal to 0.2 y naught plus velocity at 0.8 y naught by 2. This will be for shallow rivers and this will be for deep rivers. Okay, remember this type of formulas. Okay, one more term is there, isovels. What are isovels? Isovels are contours or lines of equal velocity. These are called isovels. Okay, the next topic is actually correction factors. What are these correction factors? Okay, and why this correction factor is applied? This correction factor is applied because the velocity distribution in open channel flow is non-uniform. Okay, the velocity distribution is not uniform, so we must apply some correction factors while analyzing okay, the flow. So there are basically two types of correction factors. One is kinetic energy correction factor, and the second is momentum correction factor. Okay, this is denoted by alpha and this is denoted by beta. Okay, so what is kinetic energy correction factor? It is alpha. It is equal to v cube into dA by v cube into A. Means what is this v cube into dA? Let's write in this manner: kinetic energy correction factor alpha equal to kinetic energy for actual velocity by kinetic energy for average velocity. The formula we will be using is v cube into dA upon v cube into A alpha. Remember this formula. We will solve question in the next session. Okay, and what is momentum correction for factor? Momentum correction factor beta, it is equal to v square dA by v square into A. Remember these two kinetic energy correction factors and momentum correction factors. We will solve question in the next session. Okay, so this was all for now in the introduction part for open channel flow. Meanwhile, we will progress. As we progress in the subsequent chapters of open channel flow, we will increase the pace and we will increase the questions and concepts accordingly. Okay, so that was all for now. Okay, thank you.